Here is the problem with the modern luxury watch market. It is built on a lie. You are told you are paying for heritage. You are told you are paying for unmatched engineering. You are told that a stainless steel diver is worth $10,000, $12,000, or even $15,000 because it is a rare, mystical object that only a select few deserve. But what if I told you that 95% of that price tag is nothing but hot air? What if I told you that a factory in China has reverse engineered the world's most famous watch, the Rolex Submariner, to a level that is physically, chemically, and mechanically nearly identical to the real thing for about $400? This isn't about cheap street fakes anymore. This is about an industrial product that has exposed the arrogance of the Swiss watch industry. Today we are looking at the VSF Submariner. This is the watch that proves the luxury market is broken. Before we expose the truth, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out when we tear apart the next luxury myth. Let's set the stage. The watch we are talking about is the current generation Submariner date. In the real world, you cannot just walk into a store and buy one. Authorized dealers will laugh at you. They will put you on a wait list that doesn't exist. They will force you to buy jewelry you don't want just to get the privilege of spending $10,000. Because of these games, the price on the secondary market, the grey market, skyrocketed. You are looking at premiums of 40 to 50% over retail. This created a vacuum. And into that vacuum stepped a shadow industry in China, specifically from the VSF factory. They didn't just make a copy, they made a super clone. In the world of replica enthusiasts, they have a specific term for this, NWBIG. It stands for not worth buying ingenuine. It means the fake is so good, so precise and so reliable that buying the real one is actually a bad financial decision, and the VSF Submariner is the king of this category. Let's start with the metal. For years, Rolex has marketed their steel as something magical. They call it Oystersteel. They tell you it is a super alloy that no one else can touch. In reality, it is just 904L stainless steel. It has more nickel and chromium than standard steel, which gives it a specific white gold kind of shine and better corrosion resistance. For decades, fakes used standard steel. You could spot them from a mile away because the color was just a little bit off. It looked too gray. That game is over. The VSF Submariner uses independent lab-verified 904L stainless steel. This isn't a marketing claim. Enthusiasts have taken these cases and blasted them with X-ray fluorescence scans. The results are terrifying for Rolex. The levels of chromium, nickel, and copper are a match. The metallurgy is identical. The way it reflects light is identical. That specific white gold luster that used to be the hallmark of the genuine watch? The clone has it. You are paying thousands of dollars for a material that costs pennies on the dollar to manufacture. Now let's move inside the case. This is where the cynicism really sets in. The heart of the genuine Submariner is the Calibre 3235 Movement. Rolex marketed this as a revolution. They claimed it had a 70-hour power reserve and an escapement that was more efficient. But here is the dirty secret they don't want you to know. The genuine 3235 Movement has been plagued with issues. Owners have reported low amplitude. They have reported that the watch starts losing time, sometimes 10 or 20 seconds a day, after just a year or two. The movement is so complex and requires such precise lubrication that it is actually fragile. So what did the cloners do? They built the VS3235. This isn't a cheap generic movement with a decorative plate glued on top. It is a complete architectural copy of the Rolex engine. The bridges, the gears, the screws, they are all in the exact same places. It even has the same 70-hour power reserve. You can put this watch down on Friday night and pick it up on Monday morning, and it will still be ticking. But here is the ultimate irony. Because the clone factory uses a slightly more robust manufacturing process and tends to over-oil the movements, reports suggest that the fake movement might actually be more reliable in the short term than the genuine one. The clone is less prone to the specific stalling issues that plague the real Rolex. Think about that. You spend 15 grand for perfection that might fail, while the guy who spent 400 bucks has a watch that keeps ticking. The compatibility is so high that you can actually take parts from a real Rolex movement, like the balance bridge or the date wheel, and install them directly into the fake movement. They call these Frankenstein watches. It blurs the line between real and fake until the line practically disappears. Visually, the deception continues. One of the hardest things to copy on a Rolex is the black hole effect. This is the crystal over the date window. On a real Rolex, there is an anti-reflective coating under the magnifier that makes the background look jet black. It kills all the glare so the date pops out. Most fakes fail here, they look blue or cloudy. But VSF nailed it. The crystal clarity is widely considered the benchmark in the industry. When you look at the date, it is deep, dark, and clear. Then you have the bezel. The ceramic insert on a real Rolex uses platinum-coated numerals. It gives them a dusty, silvery sparkle that never fades. The VSF factory uses a similar physical vapor deposition process to coat their numerals. In the past, these would fade to a dull grey. Now, they have that platinum dust look. It catches the light exactly like the genuine article. Even the click of the bezel, that famous mechanical sound that Rolex owners love, has been engineered to mimic the acoustic signature of the real thing. It might feel slightly lighter, maybe a little more lubricated, but unless you are a professional watchmaker, you are not going to feel the difference. So, is it perfect? No, and this is where we have to be fair. If you pull out a macro lens and zoom in 50 times, the illusion starts to crack. On some batches, there is a flaw known as the floating M. On the dial where it says 300 meters, the letter M is sometimes printed slightly higher than the numbers. It disrupts the alignment. It is a tiny microscopic error, but it is there. Then there is the finishing on the hands. Rolex hands are made of white gold and are polished to absolute perfection. Under a microscope, the hands on the clone look rough. You can see jagged edges. You might see dust particles trapped in the glow-in-the-dark paint. They look like they were mass-produced, because they were. Speaking of the glow, that is another tell. The genuine Rolex uses a material called chromalite. It glows blue and stays bright for 8 hours. The fake uses a generic material. It glows the same blue, and initially it is just as bright. But it fades fast. After about an hour, it drops to 50% brightness. By the middle of the night, the fake is dim, while the real Rolex is still shining. But ask yourself this: is a longer-lasting glow worth a $14,000 price difference? The existence of this watch challenges the entire economics of luxury. We estimate the production cost of this high-end clone is somewhere around $150 to $200. The materials are not expensive. The cost is in the machining. They sell it to you for $500. That covers the risk of running an illegal business and shipping contraband around the world. When you buy a genuine Rolex at retail for $10,000 or on the grey market for $15,000, you are not paying for the steel. You are not paying for the movement. You are paying for the marketing. You are paying for the authorized dealer's showroom. You are paying for the story. This has created a bizarre feedback loop. You might think that fakes devalue the brand, but in this twisted market, they actually reinforce it. The grey market price of $15,000 acts as a psychological anchor. When you see that number, the $500 clone looks like the bargain of the century. We see a strange trend happening in the watch community. There are people who actually own the genuine Submariner. They keep it in a safe because they are afraid to scratch their investment. Then they go out and buy the VSF clone to wear on their wrist every day. They get the same look, the same feel, and the same function without the fear of getting robbed or scratching a polished surface. It validates the clone as the actual tool watch, while the real Rolex has become nothing more than a piece of jewelry for speculators. Now, a serious warning. While owning one of these might feel like a victory against the system, the legal reality is dangerous. In the United States, buying one for personal use usually isn't a crime, though if customs seizes it, you lose your money. But if you travel to Europe, do not bring a fake watch. Specifically, stay away from Italy and Switzerland. In Italy, they have street-safe laws. You can be fined up to €10,000 just for possessing a counterfeit. In France, the customs officers are aggressive. In Switzerland, they will seize the watch, destroy it, and charge you for the destruction costs. You are walking into the lion's den wearing a stolen skin. There is an alternative for those who want the look without the legal risk. You have homage brands like San Martin. They make a watch that looks just like a Submariner, uses similar materials, and costs about $300. It is a great watch. It offers 80% of the build quality. But here is the cold truth. People don't buy the VSF because they want a great watch. They buy it because they want the brand. They want the crown on the dial. They want the deception. San Martin is for people who love the design. The VSF is for people who crave the status but refuse to be robbed by the market. The VSF Submariner is a disruptor. It is a market killer. It proves that the gap between luxury and replica is no longer about quality. It is almost entirely about the story we tell ourselves. When you hold the clone in one hand and the genuine in the other, and you realize you can't tell the difference without a magnifying glass, you have to confront an uncomfortable reality. The luxury industry has been taking us for a ride. They have decoupled the price from the value. This $400 watch is a physical manifestation of a market correction. It is a middle finger to the wait lists, the arrogance of authorized dealers, and the artificial scarcity. So here is the question I want you to answer in the comments below. If you were offered a genuine Rolex Submariner for $15,000 or a VSF super clone that is 95% identical for $500, which one would you honestly choose to wear and why?